When the flashbulbs of London Fashion Week begin to pop and the world's elite descend upon the Strand, we often imagine the halls of royalty filled with nothing but gold leaf desserts and rare delicacies. But if you were to pull back the heavy velvet curtains of Clarence House during this frantic week, you wouldn't find a queen indulging in excess. Instead, you would find Queen Camilla seeking solace in the steam of a simple, quiet bowl of broth. For Camilla, a woman who stepped into the spotlight later in life and has weathered decades of public scrutiny, food has always been her grounding wire. While the fashion world celebrates the new, the trendy, and the extravagant, Camilla finds her strength in the old, the traditional, and the honest. Picture her, perhaps still wearing a touch of that Barbie pink silk or a navy velvet coat, momentarily stepping away from the front row chaos to nourish her soul. In a world of fleeting trends, her palate remains loyal to the British soil, the vegetables grown in her own garden, and the recipes passed down through generations. This isn't just a meal, it's a moment of peace in a high-fashion whirlwind. It's the flavor of home, the scent of resilience, and the secret fuel behind a queen who remains remarkably down to earth. Let's look at the dishes Queen Camilla truly relies on when the world is watching. Dish number 1. The LFW signature chicken broth during the high-octane exhaustion of London Fashion Week. Where the air is thick with perfume, hairspray, and the frantic energy of the catwalk, Queen Camilla's ultimate request is surprisingly modest. A bowl of clear, nourishing chicken broth. While the fashion elite are sipping green juices or nibbling on intricate hors d'oeuvres, the Queen turns to this liquid gold to maintain her stamina. This isn't just any soup, it is a concentrated essence of home. Her son, renowned food critic Tom Parker Bowles, has often spoken of her love for honest food, and nothing is more honest than a broth simmered for hours until it is rich, dark, and deeply restorative. For Camilla, this dish acts as a protective shield against the grueling schedule of royal duties. It is packed with seasonal greens, fresh peas, shredded spinach, and perhaps a hint of mintal sourced from the gardens she meticulously tends herself. In the cold, damp climate of a London February, this broth offers a warmth that silk and wool cannot provide. It reflects a very British sensibility, the idea of making do and mending the body with simple ingredients. To see a queen choose a humble bowl of broth over a 5-course gourmet meal tells us everything about her character. She values substance over style and health over hype. It is her secret weapon, a quiet ritual of self-care that allows her to stand tall under the bright lights of the fashion world while staying connected to the earthy, rural roots she loves so dearly. Is a clear broth actually a satisfying lunch, or is it just a sad meal for people who are too busy to eat real food? Dish number 2. Fresh fish chips wrapped in paper even amidst the glamour of London Fashion Week. Queen Camilla's heart remains loyal to the ultimate British soul food, classic fish and chips. There is something wonderfully rebellious about a queen choosing a greasy spoon staple over a Michelin-starred menu. She has famously admitted that nothing beats proper fish and chips, and her preference is specifically for the traditional way piping hot, doused in salt and vinegar, and crucially wrapped in paper. For Camilla, this isn't just a meal, it's a nostalgic escape. It's the scent of the British seaside and the memory of simpler times before the crown. While the fashion world is obsessed with clean eating and tiny portions, Camilla's love for a golden battered cod reminds us of her grounded, no-nonsense personality. It's a dish that bridges the gap between the palace and the pavement, proving that even a queen enjoys the crunch of a perfect chip. But this brings up a fun debate for all of you watching. Do you prefer your fish and chips with mushy peas or extra tartar sauce? It seems everyone has a favorite side. However, a more heated debate often divides the dinner table. Is it authentic and charming to eat dinner straight out of paper wrapping, or is it just plain messy for a royal? Regardless of the critics, for Camilla, that paper-wrapped parcel is the taste of true British freedom. Dish number 3. Heinz baked beans on toast. When the flashing cameras of the fashion world finally dim and the heavy palace doors close, Queen Camilla often turns to the most iconic of British snacks, Heinz baked beans on toast. It is a dish that defines the everyday Briton, a pantry staple that bridges the gap between the working class and the monarchy. Despite having the world's finest chefs at her beck and call, Camilla's preference for this simple 2-minute meal is a testament to her unpretentious nature. She has a very specific loyalty to the brand, insisting it must be Heinz, served over thick, buttered crusts. For her, it is the ultimate comfort, a warm, sugary and salty hug in a bowl that provides a sense of normalcy after a day of high-fashion formality. It's an image that makes her feel more like a neighbor than a monarch, sitting down to a meal that almost every person in the country has enjoyed. This leads me to wonder about your own kitchen habits. How do you like your toast slightly golden or nearly burnt to a crisp? We all have that one specific way it has to be. But more importantly, let's settle a classic kitchen argument. Does adding a mountain of melted cheese to your beans make it a masterpiece, or does it completely ruin a perfect British classic? For the Queen, it's all about the simplicity of the bean. Dish number 4. Homegrown asparagus with melted butter. If there is one dish that captures Queen Camilla's deep-rooted love for the British countryside, it is freshly harvested asparagus dripping in melted butter. Unlike the complicated, fussy dishes often served at high-fashion galas, Camilla's favourite indulgence comes directly from the soil. She is a passionate gardener, often engaging in a playful, competitive rivalry with King Charles over who can grow the finest produce on their estate. During the hectic pace of London Fashion Week, this dish serves as her culinary reset button. It is seasonal, elegant, and entirely honest, reflecting her belief that the best food doesn't need to be disguised by heavy sauces or complex techniques. For Camilla, eating what the land provides is a ritual of respect for nature. She prefers the stalks to be perfectly tender, served simply so the earthy flavour shines through. Seeing a queen prioritize garden vegetables over caviar tells us she is a woman of the earth at heart. But tell me, is there a specific vegetable that you actually look forward to eating when it's in season? It's rare to find one that feels like a treat. However, this dish often sparks a royal debate. Is asparagus a sophisticated luxury delicacy, or is it just expensive grass that only people in high society pretend to enjoy? For Camilla, it is clearly the former. Dish number 5, the traditional Sunday roast. Well done. Even as a central figure in the modern British monarchy, Queen Camilla remains a staunch defender of the most sacred of national traditions, the Sunday roast. While London Fashion Week is all about the next big thing, Camilla finds her comfort in the tried and true. For her, a Sunday isn't a complete without a joint of beef or lamb, roasted to perfection and served with all the traditional trimmings. However, she shares a very specific culinary trait with the late Queen Elizabeth. She prefers her meat well done. In a world where high-end chefs often insist on serving meat rare or pink, Camilla's preference for a thoroughly cooked roast is a nod to a more traditional, old-school British palate. This meal is her time for family, a moment where the titles and the fashion trends disappear, replaced by the steam of gravy and the crunch of roast potatoes. It's a dish that reminds us that even at the highest levels of society, the ritual of a family gathering is what matters most. But I have to ask you, what is the one must-have side dish that makes a Sunday roast perfect for you? Is it the Yorkshire pudding or the crispy potatoes? This brings us to a very controversial kitchen debate. Is eating meat well done a sign of a disciplined, traditional palate, or is it a culinary crime that ruins a perfectly good piece of steak? For the Queen, the more cooked, the better. Dish number 6. Spicy scrambled eggs. When the morning sun rises over London during the chaos of Fashion Week, Queen Camilla often bypasses the elaborate pastries of the front row for a plate of spicy scrambled eggs. This isn't your average breakfast. Camilla is known for her love of kick-starting her metabolism with a hint of heat. Her secret? Adding a dash of chili or a spread of spicy condiment to her eggs to give them a modern, vibrant edge. It's a dish that perfectly mirrors her personality, soft and traditional on the surface, but with a surprising, spirited spark underneath. While the world sees a poised queen in a silk gown, this breakfast reveals a woman who enjoys a bit of fire in her routine. For Camilla, a high-protein start is essential for surviving the long hours of public appearances and flashing lights. It's a meal that is quick, efficient, and full of energy. But thinking about your own morning routine, how do you prefer your egg scrambled, fried, or poached to perfection? We all have that one way that just feels right. However, this spicy twist leads us to a controversial kitchen question. Is adding hot sauce or chili to breakfast a brilliant way to wake up the senses, or is it a complete disaster that ruins the delicate flavour of the eggs? For Camilla, the spice is what makes the meal. Dish number 7. Bitter chocolate-rich cocoa desserts. While she maintains a disciplined diet to keep up with the frantic pace of London Fashion Week, Queen Camilla has one famous weakness: dark, bitter chocolate. Unlike the sugary milk chocolate many of us reach for, the Queen's palate craves the sophisticated, intense depth of high cocoa treats. Whether it's a sliver of a dense chocolate torte or a simple square of 70% dark chocolate after a long day of shows, this is her ultimate reward. For a woman who spent years in the shadows before becoming queen, there is something poetic about her love for a flavor that is both complex and bittersweet. It's a sophisticated indulgence that provides a much-needed endorphin boost without the sugar crash that would ruin a royal schedule. This preference for dark over sweet shows a refined maturity in her tastes, opting for quality over quantity. It makes me wonder about your own cravings. If you had to choose right now, are you team milk chocolate or team dark chocolate? Most people have a very strong opinion on this. However, it also sparks a controversial dessert debate. Is dark chocolate a healthy gourmet superfood, or is it just a bitter, boring substitute for people who don't actually like real candy? For the Queen, the bitterness is exactly where the joy is found. Dish number 8. Organic scallops with local greens, even when she is the guest of honor at a high-fashion banquet. Queen Camilla's heart remains at the seaside with a plate of freshly caught organic scallops. This dish is the epitome of quiet, luxurious, sophisticated and elegant, yet rooted deeply in the natural bounty of the British Isles. For Camilla, the appeal lies in the purity of the ingredient. She prefers them lightly seared to buttery perfection and served alongside crisp, local greens. In the middle of London Fashion Week, where everything can feel artificial and fast-paced, these scallops represent a connection to the slow, steady rhythm of the ocean. It is a choice that reflects her refined but unfussy approach to royalty, choosing delicate flavors over heavy, showy sauces. Eating seafood like this is a celebration of Britain's coastal heritage, a topic she is deeply passionate about. It makes me curious about your own dining habits. When you go out for a special occasion, do you usually order seafood or do you stick to meat? It's a choice that says a lot about your palate. However, this dish brings up a very controversial foodie debate. Are scallops a gourmet masterpiece of texture and taste, or are they just overpriced, rubbery circles that are way too small to be called a meal? For the Queen, they are the perfect balance of health and indulgence. Dish number 9. Proper English porridge with honey before the first hemline hits the runway at London Fashion Week. Queen Camilla starts her morning with a bowl of proper English porridge. In a world of avocado toast and trendy smoothie bowls, the Queen sticks to this centuries-old tradition to fuel her long days. This isn't the instant, sugary kind from a packet. Camilla prefers slow-cooked oats, made with a pinch of salt and finished with a swirl of natural honey, often from the royal beehives. For her, porridge is the ultimate slow-release energy source, a humble but powerful dish that reflects her practical, no-nonsense approach to life. It's a warm, grounding ritual that connects her to the generations of Britons who have relied on oats to brave the damp morning air. While fashion icons are fasting or drinking black coffee, Camilla's choice shows her commitment to resilience and health. It's a meal that is both modest and regal in its simplicity. This makes me curious about your own breakfast bowl. Do you prefer your porridge sweet with fruit and honey, or are you a traditionalist who likes it savory with salt? It's a debate that has lasted for centuries. However, it also raises a controversial breakfast question. Is porridge a comforting, healthy superfood, or is it just a bowl of grey mush that should have stayed in the Victorian era? For the Queen, it is the only way to start a royal day. Dish number 10. Afternoon tea with homemade scones to conclude our journey through the Queen's palate. We arrive at the most quintessentially British ritual of all. Afternoon tea with freshly baked scones. For Queen Camilla, this isn't just a midday break, it is a sacred tradition that offers a moment of calm amidst the frantic schedules of London Fashion Week. Even when surrounded by the world's most famous designers, she finds her greatest joy in a warm, crumbly scone topped with thick clotted cream and strawberry jam. While the fashion world focuses on the next look, Camilla's tea table is a tribute to continuity and heritage. It's a dish that reminds her and us that, no matter how high one's status, there is always time for a cup of tea and a treat. This final dish represents the heart of the monarchy, stable, comforting, and deeply rooted in shared history. It's a meal that invites conversation and connection, which makes me wonder about your own tea time habits. Do you take your tea with a splash of milk, or do you prefer it plain and strong? Everyone has their own perfect brew. However, we cannot talk about scones without addressing the most controversial debate in British history. Do you put the jam on first, or does the clotted cream always go on the bottom? It's a choice that has divided the nation for centuries, but for the Queen, as long as it's British and homemade, it's the perfect end to the day. As the final models exit the runway and the bright lights of London Fashion Week begin to fade, It's clear that Queen Camilla's culinary choices are her true signature style, from the humble warmth of baked beans to the disciplined elegance of garden-fresh asparagus. Her menu tells the story of a woman who values authenticity over appearances. In a world of fleeting trends and high-fashion drama, the Queen remains anchored by the simple, honest flavours of the British soil. These 10 dishes are more than just sustenance. They are a bridge between her royal duties and her private heart, proving that even a queen finds her greatest strength in the comforts of home. We've seen how she balances the grandeur of the palace with the practicality of a paper-wrapped fish supper. But now I want to hear from you. Which of these royal favourites would you actually want to see on your own dinner table tonight? It's fascinating to see which dishes resonate most with all of you. Before you go, I have one last controversial thought for us to chew on. Should a modern queen stick to traditional, common British foods to stay relatable? Or do you think royalty should always eat like royalty with caviar and gold leaf? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the Queen's kitchen, don't forget to like and subscribe for more nostalgic stories. See you next time.